It's the KC Show, coming at you live inside Affordable Title Loan Studio in downtown Union. It's your life, your town, your show. With your host, Kyle.
All right, what's going on, guys? We are live, and a little music there, just trying everything out again. Hopefully everybody's having a good day, and we're going to have Mr. Randy Ivey on with us here in just a second. Let's check the stream, like always. Check it, share it. Make sure y'all share it as well. It takes 2 seconds to hit that share button for us. Oh, that sounds good. Can't mistake that big mouth.
You can get put on the big monitor
That
there
was you,
too.
Jerry, by the way. That was you.
Oh, was it?
Yep, that was you. So, yeah, let me bring it up on here, and that should be muted, so we should be good on that. So, guys, thank y'all for watching tonight. We're going to have audio, no video. Oh, yep, I guess that would be the problem, wouldn't it? It'd be good if I bring us up here, Jerry. And here you go being loud. Look at it. He always got to copy me all the time. So
I don't see a picture.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I forgot to hit the picture button, but it's all right.
Oh, no.
Yep, it's coming. There, look at there. Look how pretty that guy is.
Wow.
Look at
Daniel, yes, you can't see us, but you will in about 10 seconds. You'll see us.
and you're going to wish we went back to the other way.
Yeah, there we are. Ta-da. Hello, people. You're live.
John says, do you know anything about 4K at Foster Park Elementary? I don't know nothing about that. Have you heard anything?
No, that's just where little kids go. And, he wants to. I thought that was no run
He might want
4K.
to enroll. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably more likely COVID. No, but we haven't heard anything. If you know anything, please let us know on what's possibly going on. Another case, 4K, is closed until next week, and that is up in the air. Just got a phone call today. Allison Gregory said so, and there it is on the screen. So,
Yep.
okay, well, that's not good. Just continue just doing what you do and be safe. And it's going to be tough with children that age to get them to conform to mask wearing and stuff like that. So that's not a heavy surprise. So what's up, Stan, John, Gerald, Kathy, Brenda, Allison, Amber, Kathy, Danielle,
Kathy Dillard is our top fan at KC.
She is a top fan. She said Jerry's is echoing.
Echo. Emma? Well,
Let's see.
let me turn it. Oh, he don't have me plugged up. No wonder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I don't have you plugged up. I didn't want to hear you. Want you to hear me talking about you.
Hey, Stan
I'll turn you
King.
down a hair. It shouldn't echo. It shouldn't echo. But I've got it. I got his just in case it was coming from there because the microphone's pointing this way. So. Either way, it'll be fixed. It's good. It should be fine now. Go ahead and talk for me.
I'll go ahead and talk for you. Okay.
So.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Me down and not you.
Oh, wrong one.
Can't have that. Can't have that. Hey, Candy, how are y'all? A little bit. How are you? CC, hey, how are y'all? Don't forget, toward the end, we're going to be giving away 2 tickets to the wrestling event for November the 7th at the fairgrounds. I thought I had a picture put on here. That was what I was forgetting.
And if you want to see Kyle wrestle,
yes, me and Jerry are going to have a cage match.
Cage match.
You know
oh yeah, you can see that cage.
Well, guys, we ain't gonna hold it up no longer. We're gonna bring Mr. Now, do you go by Randy or Randall? Randy Ivey. Okay, well, I got on here Randall, so I did a good job and completely got it wrong. But see, what's funny is I have this as Randy, but then I have his lower third as Randall.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, they still know who he is.
They'll know who he is. As y'all know, he's running for Union County Council, District 6, for the 2020 election, and we're going to have him come up on the screen now. Let me get this all set up here, and we welcome him. We appreciate him taking the time. And thank you, Mr. Ivey, for joining us this afternoon.
I appreciate you having me, Kyle and Jerry.
Well, we appreciate you, and before we get started, I wish you the best of luck on your candidacy. And
Thank you.
And we actually are going to have your opponent on Thursday, so it'll be good, and glad to be able to hear your side and hear his as well, and hopefully we get a lot of information from you tonight.
I hope so.
So I'm going to let Jerry, because Jerry knows you a little bit. You failed him as a student.
Exactly. That was. Yes, I'm the only one that went to 12 years of college to get a 4-year degree.
Oh my goodness, ain't that the truth? Well, Mr. Ivey, I'll start out by asking you what made you decide to run for county council?
Well, this was something I'd been thinking about for a long time. Government, politics, one of my interests. And I'd muddled the idea of running. County council seemed like the right one to run for some reason. Seemed like the best fit of the things that were opening up. Mm-hmm. I must say, if my mother were here, I probably wouldn't be running, because she did not want me running for anything. So I kind of waited till after she and my father passed away too to make the decision. But Kyle, the main interest is in giving back to the community that I feel like has given a lot to me, and an interest in seeing our community grow. When I was in college, I went to USC Columbia. My aspiration then was, to go live in New York or Europe or somewhere and write novels and that kind of thing. But my heart said, no, you've got to go back to where you belong, which is Union. Where my family and my friends are, and where I feel most comfortable and the most loved. And so I came back and began teaching in the fall of 1990. And, I get a parade of students over the last 30 years, and a lot of them are like, well, I just can't wait to get out of Union. I just can't get, I just blah, 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 that kind of thing. The kind of endless negativity. Yep. And I'm one who likes to look on the positive side of things. And so one of my missions is to try to stanch up this hemorrhage of young people and get them to come back and see that there are worthy things here. And if there aren't, they're smart enough to create their own worthy things. So it's a lot of things. It's not one thing that prompted me to do it. It's a number of things.
I got you. Jerry, I'm sorry. You go ahead. I heard you about to ask a question, so you go ahead.
Oh, no.
About to ask one?
No, I was going to just, of course, you asked that right there, Regina. Would you going to ask her?
Yeah, before I get to hers real quick, is I usually let people, I forgot, I was so ready to ask you questions. Usually I say, would you like to tell us about yourself? But you kind of already did, but you're also a book writer as well,
author, yes.
I'm a novelist and a story writer and poet and essayist and reviewer and playwright. I've just dabbled in most all the genres. That was a thing that was my earliest passion.
Mike says hello.
Hi, Mike.
We're not telling him, Mike, you're not here.
Another troubled student. But yeah, I had great teachers at Union High School, at Sims and Union, who encouraged that, and it's a thing I continue to do. As I was telling Jerry and Kyle before we came on, I'm working on a couple of books now, a memoir of my boyhood in the early 70s here in Union, and also a novel. So yeah, that's my other great love.
How many books you got out now, Randy? I know I've got one of them.
5 books under my own name and a couple others under names you will not hear tonight. Pseudonyms, yeah. A little extra cash.
I got you.
Jacob Gregory says hello to one of his favorite students.
Hey, Jacob, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Jacob, you failed.
Go ahead and ask Miss Regina's question for us.
Okay, Regina Alexander, what is the plans for places like our fire department?
Plans like our fire department?
Like when they was discussing Kyle putting them all into under the county, or
centralizing.
Yeah, he's having a plan to where he's going to change up these fire departments, and a lot of fire departments are on board. A a little bit of when he first come out of the gate with it, some information that maybe some of them wasn't understanding. You know, from what I'm gathering, some of the fire chiefs now are more like, okay, I see where you're coming from. But as what do you see as something that you would say? I'm gonna ask her to kind of clarify it to make sure I ask it the proper way because she knows more than I do.
Sure,
clearly
more than I do.
But I guess what would you say to a plan? Let's say there's a plan that's sitting on there that a lot of people are not on board with as far as volunteer firefighters. Is that something that you would just have to see at the time, or you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be prepared for any kind of definite answer now. I'd have to study the issue. My tendency is to kind of oppose that kind of centralization. But if talking with the firefighters and the chiefs and they think it's a more effective way of going about it, certainly I could be swayed.
Right.
But I certainly don't want to pretend that I've got a great big answer here this evening. Normally, as I say, I'm for each community having its own fire department, its own facilities, that sort of thing. But gosh, one of the things I'm trying to do is to go and sit and listen to people. I'm a lifelong student, and I want to study these things. I want to study these problems before I voice my opinion. So,
James Lancaster, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry. James Lancaster, he said, "What does Mr. Ivey think about combining county and city government?"
Well, James, again, my instinct is to be wary of that kind of centralization. Because of the needs that the union may have, that the county as a whole may not have, I'd have to see some kind of definite proposal before I'd go along with it. But right now, I wouldn't be in favor of that sort of centralization unless I was convinced that it would be the best thing for everybody.
Okay.
District 6 and the entire county.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I have one for you. While we wait for anybody else to bring up a question. One thing that was been on the docket is, well, it's actually two things. One is the new, well, from what I'm understanding is that it's actually not on the ballot this year. I'm gonna have to try to get some verification on that. I haven't went yet, but the new penny tax, the additional penny tax. I'll ask you first on that one because a lot of people are kind of curious on these new council members. You know, how about let's review our spending instead of let's keep adding this tax. And where do you stand with something like that?
Well, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a fiscal conservative, and I certainly wouldn't want to impose on the people any additional financial burdens. So I hate to keep using the same term over and over, but again, I'd be wary of it.
Right.
It would have to be something of the most extreme need. Yeah. Pennies add up.
They do.
And so I would, again, it would depend on what the actual needs were. But on the whole, I'm going in and I'm going to try to do my best to save people money and to save taxpayers money and be very vigilant about it. It's easy to spend other people's money when you don't see it coming in, and that's an easy thing to do, and that's not something I want to do.
And I'm going to address that. And I'm sorry to cut you off there, Jerry, because he actually brought up a good point there. You just identified yourself as a Democrat, and right now there is a, I don't want to use the word stigma of it, but I guess that's
a pretty good word.
When you declare yourself a Democrat or a Republican, you have to completely agree with everything that they're doing and not disagree with some of the, you can't.
See, I don't, Kyle. I mean,
and that's what I was wanting to get.
I'm more of a Jeffersonian sort of Democrat. I kind of go. He's always been my political and historical idol, and I've read and studied him a good bit, and I just feel like I think government has a role in our lives, but not an excessive role, and not to the point where we're serving it rather than it serving us.
Right.
And I want good government, not necessarily more government. But it seems like the parties are becoming more polarized. And if you don't think certain things, then you're not really that. You're a dino, you're a rhino, you're this or that sort of thing. And I grew up at a time when people still mostly identified as Democratic.
Right.
You never would admit to being a Republican.
Yep.
You're either Democratic or you voted the party, you voted the man, not the party.
Yep.
And years ago, my father cornered me. This was during the 1982 recession, and he said, "Don't ever vote Republican," that kind of stuff. And my grandfather was a staunch Democrat. He actually my father actually voted for Goldwater in '64, and that just, my grandfather didn't forgive him, right, for not voting for LBJ. And tradition means a lot to me, Kyle. The traditions we've grown up with. I understand things have changed. I understand the parties have changed. But I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather fight than switch.
Yeah, that's actually if the rest of the government would feel like that, man, how great would it be, you know?
Well, and I also want to see myself in a very small way as maybe trying to help moderate the Democratic Party too, as being a force of moderation.
Yeah, well, both sides sometimes need a little touch of that. So.
Oh yeah.
That's the reason why, because right now, like I say again, there's a stigma. If you're a Democrat and you hear somebody say they're Republican, oh, you hate them, and then vice versa. You hear a Republican say they're Democrat, I'm not having nothing to do. So that's why I wanted you to kind of clarify to people.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, that way people understand. Because the thing that we want to push to people is that, you know, when they go to that voters booth, they just hit that one button.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't
No,
do that.
I go by the individual.
That's
I just
exactly
not, you know, whether it be Democrat, Republican, like that. I look at the original. Even if it's say, oh, where's the write-in?
Yeah.
You know what? I
Yeah.
like him or something like that. I mean, I'm looking to what he's going to bring to the table. I have a question for you, Randy, about how are you preparing, say, if you win this election, how have you prepared yourself going in to this position? Have you got an agenda in your own mind, or how are you going to transition into that position? You got maybe a mentor or something like that that's...
I'm going in. I'm not going to go in there rocking any boats right away. I'm not going in there to stir anything up. I want to go in and I want to learn. I want to sit there and I want to watch how the other 5 members behave. I want to hear their views. I'm not going up there as somebody who's going to be the wrecking ball or the one who's going to call for immediate kind of changes or anything. As I said earlier, a few minutes ago, I'm a lifelong student, including of government. And so, you know, it's like you watch, we were talking, Kyle, about the federal government and everything, and you see these hot shots that go to Congress. They've just been elected, and they're already on TV, and they're telling us what to do and what we should do, and that sort of thing. And I don't want to do that. I want to sit by and watch how it's done, and I want to confer with my colleagues and give deference to them, because I'm coming on. I would be coming on new. I'd be the newest member of the council, so I want to pay respect to them and watch how they do it and listen to their views and act as a team.
Well, I definitely, like I say, I appreciate that a lot, because sometimes somebody does want to bring their own personal views, and they just kind of ignore even something that's common sense. They still rather ignore that and go with their route.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that. That's
I'm not that type of person.
What the second part of my question was, and I promise you, we're going to get to all y'all's as quick as we can. And I see Miss Edna's got a nice comment there. She says, Randy Ivey is one of the most dedicated citizens of Union County. I totally believe he will do that, what is the very best for our little town, because he has Union at heart. Now, real quick, I would like to tell Edna that Jerry is no longer in school. You don't have to say that.
Yes. Thank you, honey. You're 10 years late now. I've graduated.
Oh, that's very nice words
That
from
is
her.
very sweet. Thank you, Edna.
And, you know, my question is, one of my pet peeves, the thing that's bothering me the most, because I'm seeing how it's kind of being affected in the city, is the council strong government. I'm a person that believes that if you have power, you should answer to the people. I believe in the election process. I don't believe anybody should have so much control without literally directly answering to the people. And I hate to bring religion into it. You can completely ignore this, but I'm a Southern Baptist, and Jerry, you can too.
I'm sorry.
I don't have the Catholic thing, you know, to go through one to talk to the other. And I hate to use that example. And if you're Catholic, please, no offense. That's just my belief, and a lot of people are like that. They don't want to go through 6 people to get to one. How do you feel about taking the county's the supervisor part and then he becoming a county administrator, kind of like Joe Nichols, a city administrator instead of now a mayor, who kind of calls the shots and makes a lot of decisions. Then if we don't like, we can vote him out.
Right.
But we can't really mess with the city administrator unless we convince 4 out of the 7.
Oh no, I you got to be responsible, and if you're not doing the people's job, you got to answer for it. So, I mean, that's one of the hallmarks of my campaign is I always want to be in touch with the people. The last couple of weeks I've been putting questions out on my Facebook page about the alcohol sales on Sunday, and then a question I get a lot is about these meet and greets about how to retain the young people. And I want to go out and talk to people. That's part of the interest to me is staying in touch with the people.
Yeah. You agree with the alcohol sales? Did I put you on the spot there?
Well, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because
okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I told people I was sitting on the fence.
Right.
That the Southern Baptist in me said no. We got to be. We can't be totally hostile in the public sphere to religion.
Right.
And the civil libertarian says, well, it's not my business if somebody wants to go and buy alcohol on Sunday and sit home and drink it. So I'm still sitting on the fence, to be honest with you. And that's one reason I sought the opinions of the people.
Yeah. Jerry, what about you as a preacher?
Well, as a pastor and a Presbyterian minister, I don't have an issue with that. That's just like you going out and buying groceries and everything like that. And it'd be a nice, perfect world. We'd like to say everything like years ago, Nanny Griffith days, where everything shut down except for Wally's store, and during the blue laws and all that stuff there, and no one, and it gets more people able to go to church instead of we're getting out and go out to eat, and everybody's at the restaurant, and they're going to go to another county if they want it that bad or something like that anyway, or go outside the county. And I think it's just, it would be okay, and it would bring in more revenue, I guess, for the restaurants and businesses here. And so I'm good with it.
I see both sides.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We've got a question from Jacob. He says, what are your stances on helping police officers and their terrible salaries?
Well, I'm certainly 100% against defunding the police. I think that's a ridiculous idea, and I want to go in as I've taught many people who've gone on to law enforcement careers, and certainly I want to be an advocate for them. So I want to listen to what they have to say. I want to listen to what their problems are, and go to work and do the best I can with it. So.
Okay, and another question actually comes from Mike. A lot of these students coming at you. He says, why are you, and I should have probably asked that at the beginning as well. He says, why are you seeking office? What exactly was it that motivated you? What was the last straw? What motivated you and said, okay, I'm running?
Well, I thought about it for a while, and I said yes, and I said no, and I think we're at a point where we've got, and this is not any tooting of my own horn or anything, we've got this university here, and it's doing exceedingly well. It's doing things I never thought it would do, growing in ways I never thought it would. And that combined again with this sort of, this endless, union, off of that sort of thing. I said, somebody, we got to step in, we got to show what we've got, we've got to stress the positive here, and we've got to get these young people to stay or come back. And so it's not really, wasn't really a last straw. It's just been something that's been brewing for a number of years. Because I came back, and I'm glad I came back, and I want them to come back, and I want them to raise their families here and build their businesses and realize their dreams. And you can hop in a car and go to Atlanta. You can go to Myrtle Beach. You can go to Greenville. Get on an airplane and go to New York if I want to go to New York, and I always come back here where I think things are friendlier and people care more about each other and that sort of thing. So it wasn't really one last straw. It was a culmination, I guess.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, with the university being here, and you said a key factor here is when they graduate is to come back here, have something back here that they can look forward to, and not union known for its corruption, but known for its positivity and growth. that's I think is a very key thing that's going to get Union back on the map. Besides all the other stuff that's went on, and when people talk about Union, they bring up something negative instead of something positive.
All the time.
How do you think you're going to be able to keep the young people here? Like, it's hard to tell, you know, and from me looking from the outside looking in, and probably them as well looking at it, it's like there's not a heavy amount of opportunity for somebody with a degree. This is still kind of a blue collar town. Well, it is a blue collar town, and you know, what do you feel like you're going to be able to do to change that tide to where we can maybe increase to have maybe some, you know, higher end jobs for these higher education?
Well, I think, and you know, the corruption is real. There's nothing we can't just brush that under the rug. But I think what we've got to do is we've got to offer ourselves up as positive examples, for one thing. That not everybody in Union who's in some position of authority or influence is on the make or the take. So I think we have to offer ourselves up as examples, for one thing. The university, one of the remarkable things about the university is that now we've got these sports here, chiefly the softball and the baseball, and we've got young people coming from Aiken and Florida and Georgia and North Carolina and here and there, and their reaction, for the most part, has been positive to the town, and having them here, having them see the possibilities here, I think is one of the good things, and having our homegrown people interact with them is a positive thing as well. One of my responsibilities at the university is the director of the literary festival every year, and we bring in writers and artists from all over the South to come in, and they're always just really impressed with Union and impressed with the university and the things there. We've just got to offer ourselves up as positive examples and show that not everybody's a crook and not everybody's in it for personal gain.
Right. What would you think about term limits on people that's in office like for 10 and 15 years, they just keep getting reelected, have term limits that just like the president, you know.
And I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Is there a drink? You would like a drink or anything?
Water will be fine.
Okay, let me see if I have that, and I'll let you answer why you're doing that.
Okay. All right, great. Jerry, for the most part, I've been against term limits. I feel like elections are term limits, but I can see what you're saying, and I can understand the frustration of people who advocate for term limits, because you do have a lot of useless people who just hang around. So I'm not convinced yet to support term limits, but I'm certainly willing to.
Right. I think in that we need to encourage other folks to get out and run for office. If they won't change, and this person, you know, then they need a person to run against.
That's right.
And there's so many out there now that's not running for office, and you got some's not even opposed, you know, and it automatically in there for another terms and other terms. It's almost like they're just there, you know.
Well, to me, the problem in that area is gerrymandering, where you get state legislatures that redraw districts in order to favor their own party. It's a thing the Democrats and the Republicans do, and it's not limited to one party. But I think gerrymandering, where you intentionally draw the districts, knowing all it is a re-elect the incumbent program, and you're not giving these people an opportunity to be challenged by who might be worthy opponents. I think that's the greater evil there. So I hope some sort of great efforts made to in the whole process of gerrymandering and get fair districts drawn and get competition. I mean, you know, competition is an American thing, yep. And we're supposed to be in the marketplace of ideas, and you get so and so. Who's the longest serving? I guess this guy out of Alaska is the longest serving congressman now, over 50-something years in there, and then he goes right back in again, and so gerrymandering.
Alaska, does he have anybody to run against him?
Well,
he's got somebody running, but I don't know what sort of chance she has. I'll bring it back this afternoon, but
well, and you kind of look at us. We've got a mayor that's been in government, on our government council for over 20 years. I mean, so that's a long time to sit there. And when you look at, you can't blame it all on one person. That's not possible. But when you do look at from where we were, maybe when he first started, to where we are now, you know, you got to go, okay, you're not the main problem, but you sure were a part of it. 20-something years, we've got to start thinking outside of the same box that we've been in. But one person asks is, we need industry and decent housing, and they don't mean just Section 8. A nice apartment complex would be nice, and a new decent subdivision. I actually talked about that the other day. You look at Packlet's starting a nice, they got a huge sign out there because they're selling houses before they can even get them built. They're building new houses in a subdivision out there. And, you know, that's something that we have plenty of property. Now, granted, we love having our woods and our hunting and all that, but we've got to grow with the times as well. And subdivision, stuff like that, is something that Union could really thrive with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And we got to get out of this mentality that everything has to be new. We've got all these buildings sitting around not being used, that kind of thing. Make a creative use of them, for goodness sake.
That's a good one.
New is not always better. Take things that are there and do something with them. That's one of my pet peeves is like these shells that are left behind on the highway and that kind of thing, or downtown or whatever. And so that would be one of the things I'd be looking into is how can we renovate and rejuvenate the things we've already got.
Well, I tell you this, I know a lot of people would probably be upset if I don't bring this about. One thing that I definitely feel like we need to concentrate a little bit more funding toward is our Humane Society. Our I still call it the dog pound. They hate that, but it's the dog pound to me. You know, they are overworked. Let me tell you, them people down there, they work harder than probably anybody.
Oh, yeah, they're heroes for sure.
They work so hard, and I'm talking all the time, dealing with them animals, and first off, they're underpaid, which, you know, listen, I know everybody that's sitting on that council right now would love to just walk up and give them a raise. I know that's just not always possible. But will that be something that you also keep in mind, you know, not only for the employees, but to also make a better humane place for us, because that building, it's rough shape.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's rough shape.
Definitely.
It's almost like you're taking the animals out of a better environment than you're putting them in.
Some of them's possible.
There, yeah.
Some of them's very possible. Now they do a great job there,
Yes.
and everything, but man, they need help.
Yeah.
They need help, and we just hope that that's something that doesn't get put on the back burner, because it kind of seems like it does sometimes.
It does, and I'm glad you mentioned it. And I had one of the Facebook things I did about how to retain young people. She's a former student too. Mentioned the Humane Society and the poor condition and everything, and we don't want to forget that. We don't want to forget that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's certainly something I'd be interested in helping out with.
Okay. Let's go back to the chat real quick, Jerry. We got any more questions here? Let's see. I've lost count here. They're here for, yeah, like Jimmy says here, you know, a lot of the youth is they're here for the education because it is cheaper. It's a good price education that is offered here in Union, which is great. But they're leaving this town for better lives, and you know, you can't blame them. You can't get mad at them, because you're bringing them in there to educate them. You can't get mad at them when they decide to use that education and know that there's no future here. And that's something that, you know, we got to start identifying as well, you know. But to also, let's not forget our blue collar guy, you know, our hardworking manufacturers. Those
Never forget them.
And the small business.
That's right.
Those are ones that are the biggest things in my opinion, you know. But let's see.
Now we have buildings that we have built, spec buildings here, and
you on fire tonight.
sitting there empty, and we spend a lot of tax dollars. And I know in co-op with Lockhart Power and some others there too. And what are some plans that maybe you have in mind or are thinking about is to bring this industry in here? Because to me, these buildings have been built for quite a few years and just sitting there, and they think about building more instead of getting these occupied. I know they did good with the G-Stomp and stuff like that, and things there, but we've got a couple nice big buildings down on off of 49.
Yeah.
That's it's got its own sewer thing there, power's there, the grid and everything there. What kind of marketing, that to get some type of industry in these buildings?
Well, one of the other things I want to emphasize, besides the presence of the university here, is also what a great small artistic community we have, and with great musicians and artists and that kind of thing. And I think if we could, one of the things that we had talked about the university was doing was, I think it was the old Whitman House, maybe turning that into a lecture room or something of that nature. And of course, years ago there was the push for a new performing center here in town, that kind of thing. And I think, well, why spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building something new when you've got something there that's perfectly usable for that sort of thing. So, I don't know if that's directly answering your question or not, but I guess I just.
Well, you did touch on one thing that I'm glad you brought up. I'm from a small town up in North Carolina, and it's about the size of Union and all. And something they have that I went to as a kid and growing up is that they had a recreation center.
Yeah.
They had the swimming pool, they had pool tables, they had tennis, they had a ball field, tennis, and all this stuff here. Right. That was maintained by the county, and you paid a little fee to get in. It wasn't much. It's not even really enough to even keep up, anything too much. But the tax dollars and stuff on this right here, and all these youth, including myself, then we had a place to go swim, and we had a place. We got together to play basketball inside and stuff like it. Even in the wintertime, you had a place to go. They had craft shops in there, and different things went on that really flourished because we got to look for something for our youth to do.
Absolutely. Well, that's I'm glad you mentioned that too. I wasn't just talking about music halls or anything, but absolutely. The people are just crying out for things to do. I wish we could get another movie theater back here. Yeah. I haven't been to the movie. Of course, the COVID thing hadn't been a help, but it's a chore to drive back and forth to Spartanburg to go see a motion picture. It was wonderful when we had the Union Square Cinema over here. So I hope that's another thing we could entice back. Bring them at least one. Well, Jerry, you're not from Union, but Colin, you're probably too young. But at one point we had the Duncan Theater, plus 2 drive-in theaters, and I think going at the same time. And I think at one point there might have even been a third one. So. And I don't think people's appetite for entertainment's changed in all those years. So I appreciate you mentioning that, Jerry, about the recreation centers. Absolutely.
Well, and Patty brought up a question that we ask ourselves a lot, and we ask people, like Monarch Mill, it's a building that's every day it sits there, it's running down. It's running down. It's huge, and we seen. Of course, it took an entrepreneur to go out there and do it, but we seen a guy go out in Spartanburg. I believe it was the Inman Mills. I think. Now, don't hold me to that. What the name of that mill was, but he took it and made it into apartments, and now it's beautiful.
There's actually there's about 3 or 4 in Spartanburg like that.
Yep, and now they have restaurants, and they have just transformed that. It would just be wonderful to try to figure out ways to entice people like that to be able to come into Union and bring something like that.
Well, I remember years ago, Jerry, you might remember when we had the Union House downtown. You remember that restaurant downtown? It was an elegant place. It brought in cooks young cooks from New York. That's right. You sure did. Exactly. That's exactly right. I forgot about that. I thought that was wonderful, but the getting people in there there's got to be some sort of reversal of mindset and a change of mindset. Just because it's in Union doesn't mean it can't be quality.
Yeah.
Right.
And people think, oh well, he said here it must not be much. We'll go to Spartanburg or Greenville. There's no reason why we can't have great things here. So we got to work on, and there's no legislation for that.
Yeah.
But somehow we've got to work on people's mindsets too. and when we do have good things here, to come and support them and not run off to Newberry or Charlotte or somewhere.
Well, in the chat, people were saying, let's see, Holly Wise, Jill Petty was saying, Holly Wise is awesome and does a lot to raise money
Sure
for the
does.
shelter. She does a tremendous job there, and I'll tell you what, shout out to Jeff and come on, Jerry, help me out with him. His supervisor, David Kitchens, they all do a lot of. Thank you for the help, by the way.
You're welcome. No problem.
But it's one thing that I wish that would be put on the agenda with the county council. I don't know how much they can do, and I don't know how much they can't do. But we are moving into 2020, and you're starting to see towns taking advantage and starting to do this. Solar. That has got to be something that we can't keep ignoring it. But we got a spec building out there that is being cleared out, and what are they building? Solar panels. But yet we don't want to address that for us people who live paycheck to paycheck. But you got a $2 to $4 million spec building out there, and you're graciously handing them solar panels to make their power more feasible. That's something I would love to see get driven home to help start lightening the load on people's utility
bills. Yeah, that's one of the really hot issues there. So,
and
I would agree.
And it's
with
such
you.
a big difference. I know cities buys it from this, Lockhart Power, and then of course they add on to that right there. And to me, it should just kind of be that the Lockhart Power just furnish it all the way through, and that way bring it down some. Now, Jimmy Kimball had a good thing here about sponsoring like softball tournaments and stuff like that, different things that Union would sponsor that would bring in. They actually do the race down at the Bucks race.
Yeah, Big Bucks.
Big Bucks, yeah. I mean,
Big Bucks,
they are packed down there when they bring in things. The coon hunting, when they have at the fairground stuff, brings in a lot of people there. And it's a lot of things that goes on in Union that brings some people in, but it's not promoted. And that's sad,
Yeah, as though it's something to be ashamed of or something. When actually it's not at all. They're great things. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it's like me and Jerry we'll be talking to each other and be like, hey, do you know that, they're having movie night tonight at the fairground? I'm like, no, haven't heard, seen anything about it, and, we got a nice new digital sign here, they could take advantage of things like that. That's neither here nor there. That's something that you can look at. But he's just basically, to talk on what Jimmy said, he was like, there was a tournament, and there was nowhere for people to stay or a variety of places to eat. And, and Spartanburg and Clinton took in so much money for these tournaments. And I'll tell you this, on top of that, when we had the eclipse, I seen every town having festivals. Guess who didn't have a festival? Union County. Didn't try, didn't do nothing. We got a beautiful fairground out there. I had one in the back of the building. That was it. And
I was out in the middle of the field, streamed it live, had thousands of people watching.
yeah, and we got a fairground. We had a stadium. We could have took advantage of that. We could have brought it because we had plenty of wide open space. Nothing. And that is something that, again, we got to have somebody who's not necessarily so much of an idealist, but somebody who's going to bring outside the box of that. That's the simple thing.
Well, we got that big stadium out there bringing some performers, to bring in other people in here that's going to crowd these restaurants. And hey, look, we got this coming up next month, and the restaurants are going to be prepared for it because they'll get swamped. I mean, we've got to utilize what we have to bring people in from outside that says, where you going? Oh, I'm going to Union because they got such and such going to be performing there.
And James actually corrected me as Drayton Mills. That's right.
Yeah, I thought it was Drayton.
Drayton Mills. So thank you for that. Now, we actually ran longer than I told him it was going to be about 15, 30 minutes. I looked down this, 7:44. So that's good. That's awesome because it didn't feel like it. It feels real easy to speak with you and hear your ideals. And we've only really scratched the surface, but we definitely want to see a change. Now, here's the hard question. Now, I know this is based on varied, case-to-case situation. But I'm going to take it that just because 5, 6 other people are voting yes, you ain't going to vote yes just because they're voting yes. Okay.
No.
I mean, that's the
No,
simple
I
question.
wouldn't run for it if I was going to be a yes man.
Yeah.
I'm an independent, and I'll vote my conscience. And if I think it's wrong, I'll vote against. If I think it's right, I'll vote for it. But no, I'm not going to be a yes person for anybody.
Because unfortunately, we have a lot of that, you know, and
that's the one reason I
and not
threw my
just
hat
here.
in. Oh no,
Yeah,
not
just
of course
here.
not. Of
Yeah.
course not.
So,
no.
There's another thing that came up here too, that, and I agree that it got silenced all of a sudden, that you don't hear nothing about. And that's when they talk about building the lake. And that proposal there, I knew it was several talks about that.
Yeah.
Some people were excited about it, about building the homes around the lake and stuff like that. That idea just kind of seemed like it got squashed.
And
Thank
what
you,
about
Danny.
what
Proctor.
about the new hospital too? That was something
yeah,
disadvantage.
I'm going to tell you what I've heard about the new hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold your breath.
Okay.
That is the words that that is the exact words that's come from some people. I can't say, you know, some of them come from government people, some come from people who's actually representing Spartanburg. And when they purchased Mary Black, that was
That's
it,
pretty
you
much
know,
it,
so, but it would be nice to at least see some renovations of at least our current one to modernize it a little bit. It's, you know, you can see history, but still go to the hospital at the same time,
Right.
you know, which is, you know, if it was on purpose, it's nice.
Yeah.
But it's just because we don't have the funds to, you know, to make this thing better. But,
It's just like we're losing a grocery store
right.
here in Union.
Yep.
We should have these grocery stores, chain ones, knocking our doors down
Yeah.
to get our business.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know. They may be. I have no idea. But I hope that our council members are at least in some way, some form, trying to step in and at least talk to you know, at least Food Line, because Food Line is the one that's buying them out. You know, that's something that I would hope that, again, that even though it's a council member, you still hold a lot of power to be able to negotiate something that maybe, you know, that could persuade this to happen. I mean, can you see yourself being able to do that?
I think so. Yeah, I think I'd be able to do that. I mean, in my capacity even as a teacher, I've dealt with a lot of people, different kind of people. You become you're not an ivory tower figure. You're out there in the community too, and that's one of the advantages I think I have in the position I have is I'm able to talk with different kind of people. I've taught their children, and this kind of thing, and a lot of times form relationships with them. So yes, I think so.
And I will say this last one here, and then I'll give you the floor. One thing is access to interstates. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that feat will be an incredible feat. Whoever gets that done, they're going to be considered the best council to ever live in Union County, because to have done it back in the 70s and 80s when they were breaking ground, much easier than what it is right now. Is that something that you will peer into, look into, to try to, because the closer an interstate can get to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Dewberry has its advantage. That's where
Chester.
Abbeville has its advantage. Gaffney, Cherokee, Clinton.
Definitely
all of
Chester.
them. So, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And we need it. I mean, that honestly, you look at Gaffney. If they didn't have an interstate, I think it'd be a ghost town. I really do. There's nothing there but an interstate running through it. So
Now it's a 2-lane road until they get it fixed.
exactly.
I want us to get these things, but I don't want us to lose our quality as a town. Does that make sense? Our quaintness, our traditionalism as a town. I guess I want the cake and eat it too, or I want it both ways. But I want to have these things while retaining.
Right. Well, it's easy for us to sit here and ask like Santa for a wish list. You know, that's easy to do. But when it gets down to the brass tacks of it, it's a lot harder than what it seems. And you know, I do sometimes give trouble to the council members, but I don't always know what goes into those decisions. And you know, but sometimes you just can't help to voice your frustration. You're not blaming them because they ain't been there that whole time, but you're ready for some change, and Union's ready for change. And I think we're at a line to where if we don't get changed, people are going to be changing their addresses. I mean, that's
what worries me.
Yep. And
Well, you know, Clinton, even though they got they got the interstate there, like they still kept their quaintness.
Yes.
You know, the
That's a
downtown
good
stuff
example.
like that.
Yeah. Abbeville too.
Yes, definitely.
well, I'm gonna give you the floor. You just tell people where to find you on Facebook, and you say whatever it is you want to say. You just let people know, your ending speech, why you're wanting to run, and go from there.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank both of you for having me on.
We appreciate
I really
it.
have enjoyed the conversation, and I'm always anxious to talk to people, whether I win the office or not. I'm always interested in discussing these things with people, and I feel like if people would entrust me with their vote, that I'll go to council and act with honor and integrity and transparency, and I'll always be open. I'm not somebody who's going to go and retreat to some hidden room or somewhere or something. That wouldn't interest me at all. I always want to talk to people and hear what they have to say, hear what their ideas are. Otherwise, it wouldn't be of any interest to me to do the job. So I hope you'll consider my candidacy on November 3rd. And between now and then, if you've got questions or things, I'm on Facebook. I'm at the university. Not that hard to track down, and I look forward to talking with you about things.
Now, before we do that, is there any times where you might want to tell people, contact you in between, that way you're not being bombarded or class? I mean, I'm sure you have your phone off, but
Yeah, I'm gonna show up in this classroom.
because I sometimes,
And
people
Mike-
take
and
that
Mike
open door
And
very
I'm
literal.
an habitué of the Waffle House too, so
Yeah.
which the young people know. That's a joke with the young people, but they know that's another place I can be found as well. So at numerous hours of the evening. So
Yeah. Well, I'll read the chat one last time. Somebody says, Gaffney has the yellow mall. Yeah, let's see. I done made them mad now, Jerry. Let's see. I believe that's it. I guess one question has, and it's not a shot at Dr. Flood in any way, because I'm going to ask him the same question when he comes in. What do you feel like you can bring to the table that maybe he can't? What do you, just an opinion based?
well, I just feel like that I've got the unique position of being an academic. I don't think we've had a professor ever serve on county council or anything before, so I think I've got that kind of unique perspective. And I'm a lifelong resident of the county. I mean, even when I was in school in Columbia, I couldn't wait to get back home on the weekends. I just had that kind of tie to the place and to the people. So I think maybe my nativeness maybe gives me an advantage, and the fact that I've have worked in this unique and growing area of higher education. And we touched on it earlier. My career or my avocation as an imaginative writer, and that gives me a great interest in people and what they're thinking and what they're doing, and so I would put those things out there as possibly unique qualities.
Well, I think the reading would be a good plus there, because then if I was sitting there, I wouldn't want to read every little thing, and I know you do. You do. I'm a reader.
I do.
Knock that over. But, well, Mr. Ivey, we definitely appreciate you coming and speaking with us, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and it's always good to have an open conversation, guys, and I appreciate y'all watching tonight. One thing that I want to tell people is that the mail-in ballots and all that's great, but if I could encourage anyone, take advantage of the early voting at the election commission. Not a lot of lines there right now, so you're COVID safe. They're doing all the precautions after you vote. They wipe things down. So if it's me, and I'm talking on behalf of me, if you're wanting to be safe about voting, also you got to protect your vote. You're starting to see a lot of ballots getting lost. Even did you see the ballot box getting burned in that town? So make sure your vote's secure, and call ahead of time if you want to. Maybe the election commission can make sure that they can try to maybe make your visit there a little safer, whatever it needs. But you should. I really, really hope a lot of people can make sure to vote in person. secure your vote. And, what do you think about that, Jerry?
Yeah, I think, and it's going to be some long lines, November 3rd.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to avoid that.
Well, this is the earliest I've ever seen them allowing people to vote
Right.
early. So that may help.
And it's been crowds voting early.
Yes, huge crowds.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a huge turnout. And again, we thank Mr. Ivey for being here, and we appreciate y'all for watching tonight. I really appreciate it, and we will have Dr. Flood on Thursday. That's who Mr. Ivey will be running against, and we can't wait to hear from him, hear his agenda as well, and looking forward to everything. And, ready for Halloween too. Don't forget about Halloween here on Saturday, 708 South Duncan Bypass. And we'll talk more about that next week. But that's it for tonight, Jerry.
That's on 31st, too.
That is on the 31st, not the 30th.
Not this Saturday.
Yeah, and that's on the 31st, and not on Friday as well. There's some people that are doing it on Friday. We're doing it on Halloween night. So
and see if you can recognize Kyle in his costume.
Oh yeah. And real quick, yes, Kathy, I am voting early. I just realized I got the two wrestling tickets to give away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Let's see how we can do this.
Glad I remind you.
I tell you what, how many books did Mr. Ivey say that he wrote? Somebody give me an answer. That's a good question.
That's
see how good they're paying attention.
Let's see how you pay attention.
Whoever can give me that answer, because they can't go back and watch it. So the only way they know is if they were paying attention.
That's right.
You can't rewind. So we'll give it a second while we're waiting. I'll tell you what, we'll give it 1 minute.
Are you gonna have them call in?
They can just answer right in the
okay.
chat. There ain't no point in even setting it up now.
No, it's not now.
This went by good. I mean, it was a good chat. 5. Is 5 correct?
Published 5.
Okay, Let me make sure it comes up. Stacy Wiggins was the first one. Stacy Wiggins. So she is the winner of the 2 tickets for the wrestling event. And man, y'all were paying attention. Look at
they
that.
were, wasn't it? Yeah.
Man, I wish I could get tickets to all y'all.
Students would pay attention.
Yeah.
Man, so Stacy Wiggins was the first one. And I tell you what, Jimmy, you come, I mean, it was like a bam situation there.
It was.
So, Jimmy, I'm also going to give you 2 tickets as well. Because when y'all 2 put it up there, I mean, it was literally boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, half a second or so.
If that.
Yeah.
So, Stacy and Jimmy, congratulations. Y'all 2 have gotten 2 tickets each for the wrestling event on November the 7th. Y'all come by the store, mailbox store at 708 South Duncan Bypass, Sweet Eye. And we'll have your tickets ready for you. Thank y'all again for watching. Mr. Ivey, we appreciate you so much. Jerry, have a good night, sir.
I'll do it. And Mike Brandon,
wash your hands.
like that.
You didn't get no COVID, did you?
What?
You get nothing like that, did you?
No, it's covered.
See, it's
No,
over. No, guys. Y'all be safe. Y'all take care. And Mike, I will talk to you in just a few because he's going to tell me all about how good you did. You know that, right? It's coming. And he's out of school, too.
Yeah.
He needs to learn. So, thank y'all, guys. Y'all take care.